my God, guys. I am so psyched. I have such an exciting guest for you today. I have Rosemary Swift. She is the founder, the creator behind RMS Beauty. Do you know RMS Beauty? I feel like when I meet somebody and they wear RMS Beauty, we are instantly friends. It is the first clean makeup beauty brand. It's the only thing that I wear. I also use it as an embodiment practice. I love putting on the lipsticks and the lip oils. I love the bronzer. I buy the mascara for all the women in my family. I use it as an embodiment practice to really step in to who I desire to be. Rosemary shares the most wonderful practices for disrupting the industry as a trailblazer. She shares how she was working with Victoria's Secret models and she would show up with salads and green juice and everybody would say, "Can you please also make me a salad?" And this idea of almost sharing and inviting into what is possible for you, right? And she started creating these beautiful, clean makeups because she had toxic overload. Being a makeup artist in the industry and just around all of the major brands, she did blood work and there was like a lot of toxicity in her blood work from these different makeup brands, these leading makeup brands. And she decided to create a clean beauty makeup brand. I love everything that Rosemary shares. You'll see that we had a really nice connection. Rosemary's really into humming meditation and astrology. We talked a lot about spiritual practice and our lineage as gypsies, which is so fun to have that alignment. I love RMS Beauty. I think it is a beautiful example of how you can have an idea to support yourself, to support the world around you. And when you listen to this intuition, and Rosemary talks about this intuition, this inner wisdom, and stepping into that, it's so profound. She shares so many powerful nuggets. She has a lot of really, I feel like, quick and witty one-liners that I'm definitely going to use when I need to recenter, when I need to come back into alignment. Definitely check out the products if you're new to RMS Beauty. I have a fun little code that I'm going to share with all of you as well in the show notes. So may that serve you. Thank you all so much for being here. If you want to birth something that's going to disrupt an industry, this is absolutely the episode for you. There is just, sometimes you just need to hear from somebody that did it, right? That has built a huge, profitable, it shifted the game in the makeup industry. So may it serve you. Thank you all so much for being here and enjoy the episode. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Wise Woman podcast. I am so beyond thrilled and excited about today's guest. We have Rosemary Swift, the iconic founder, creator, midwife of birthing the most beautiful makeup brand, RMS Beauty. Rosemary, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. This is going to be really fun. It's such an interesting topic that I don't usually get asked about. So I'm impressed right there with you, Erin.
Yay. Well, this is where we like to hang out, right? When the idea kind of planted itself, and I shared a whole intro about you and your story and who you are, but can you just tell us a little bit? How did you even get into this healthy, this food grade, this more holistic makeup industry?
Oh my God, it goes back to when I was a kid in Canada. We're a very clean country, so to speak. And, everything we grew in the backyard, we go out in the woods and get berries and have apple trees and things like that. So I was always super healthy. My mother didn't let us have sugar. On one occasion, maybe two a year, we were allowed to have some Sprite with a maraschino cherry in it. And
Ooh.
oh my God, I remember as kids we used to pretend we were drunk, because we'd see adults doing that. So we'd have our Sprite with a maraschino cherry and act like that. But anyway, so long story short, I was always very, very into what I call purging. So I started at like 13, 14 years old. My mom goes, "Why aren't you eating?" I said, "Oh, I'm on a fast. I heard about fasting, so I'm going to fast." So I started fasting. And then, as I got older, I had all these weird little things that I did. I didn't want to use soap on my body because I thought, no, the body is so pure and it's life force energy. And we're putting this stuff that feels really sticky on my skin. Like, why does it feel sticky? So I used to have a little face cloth, and I would wash my face just with water or a little bit of coconut oil. And all these little weird things that I did as a kid stuck to me for a long, long time. People always say, what did you do to your skin? How come your skin looks so good? And I always go, because I don't use all that crap on it. And anyway, so, I just started, my sister was an esthetician. She wanted to, she knew a guy that had a whole bunch of hotels. This is how the actual career started. And he owned a whole bunch of hotels, and in the hotels were strippers. Now you have to remember, I was born in 1955, so this was the 70s. So it was not like it is nowadays at all. Like, I don't think you could even show everything, if I remember right, because it's way back then. And they had stage performances. It was like burlesque. That is the best way to put it. And I went around and I did all their makeup, because my sister said, why don't you do their makeup? Because I did a little modeling. And I said, oh yeah, okay, I'll do that. And I just went in and started doing their makeup, and then I got this little samples from a private label company, and I would buy them for 80 cents, one of the little samples. It looked like early MAC, it looked like. And from there, the girls would ask for it, and I would, sell it for like $5, $6, $7, $8 if I was being really greedy.
I love it.
And so before I knew it, the company was asking me to come and do makeup for things, and all of a sudden I'm a makeup artist, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm a makeup artist. And I started getting all these jobs in Vancouver, and then I went to Toronto, then I went to Europe. I kind of traveled everywhere doing it, but it was something that was it was a calling. It was not for me to become a makeup artist. Like, I never wanted to be a makeup artist. It just came knocking on my door, so to speak. And from there, it just kept growing and growing and growing. And everywhere I went, I just seemed to open doors for myself in some very odd way. And I'd find myself finally in New York working with the biggest people in the industry. And I'm going, oh my God, I have to pay attention to what I'm doing. Because I really wasn't. It was just intuition. The whole process, I would see how the light hit the models. I know I'm talking too much already, but
No, this is it. This is the medicine. It's the intuition. It's like this spark that existed within you. I teach and study Kabbalah, and it's
wow.
who you're supposed to be. It's so woven within like our neshama, like our inner light, like the essence of who we are. And I want you to bring us to the moment, because I know the obstacle is actually what got you to birth RMS Beauty, because you got sick, right? You were unwell. And so
Yes.
can you tell us a little bit more about, you weren't feeling well and you used your intuition and it helped you kind of birth this
Well, one of the
amazing
things that
brand?
happened, I was just basically, I'm going to put it in very short, very easy terms. I was kind of losing my mind mentally. I knew there was something wrong with my brain. It was foggy. I couldn't function. I couldn't remember things. And I thought something is wrong. I had major candida and rashes, and just the memory and the sleeping and the anxiety was just out of control. And I decided to have I was living in Canada at the time, and I decided to have real advanced blood work. Not the stuff you get from normal doctors. I went for the stuff where I had to pay thousands of dollars of my own money into it. So I had a urine analysis, blood analysis, and hair analysis. And I remember when I picked it up from the lab, they said, do you work in the cosmetic industry? And I'm like, yeah. How did you guys know that? And they said, well, because you seem to have a lot of ingredients that we see in people that do cosmetics.
Oh my God.
And I'm not blaming it, guys. I'm not blaming it directly on the industry, but they are a contributor big time. And so I did a website actually exposing all the myths and the chemicals that were in the industry, including synthetic sunscreens to, xenoestrogens in products that, destroyed the estrogen in your body or put too much estrogen in the body, and they're called xenoestrogens or estrogen mimickers. And I did this website, and it became very well known. Everybody said, oh, you can't put that out, no one's going to hire you again. And I said, yeah, hey, I'm an Aquarian. I'm rebellious. I want to make a statement. I'm not going to sit back and be one of the sheeple, so to speak. And anyway, so I did all this exposing of the industry, and everybody said, you're never going to work. Well, what happened? It actually raised my level of recognition because of the fact, oh, this makeup artist has something to say. This is interesting. And so I kept getting all this press. And then, of course, people say, well, what should we use? And that's when I realized, oh, I'm the little mouthpiece going off about the industry. Now I gotta walk the talk.
Yeah,
I
put your
can't just
money where your mouth is.
put my money where exactly put my money where my mouth is. And so I thought, okay, I can do that. I remember looking at a brand from Australia years ago, before any clean brands were even out, and they were regarded as the clean brand then. They had one organic ingredient in their product. It was jojoba oil. And I'm like, how are they calling this organic? Anyway, long story short, I met a woman in Canada who worked for a paint factory, and I knew exactly what I wanted to mix in my little concoction because I wanted basically to be skincare meets color. And she helped me do she did the formula for me. I gave her the ingredients, and I brought it back down to New York, went to try and find a lab. I could not find a lab that would take it anywhere. They said, well, you do realize this isn't going to work. Like, how's this going to work? And they just gave me a really hard time. And they say, well, organic are the mineral lines. That was right when, the mineral lines were really big, all the powders. And I said, no, 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 no. I said, I work in photography. I know what powders look like on the skin. No, I want creams. I want that synergistic relationship of something natural the skin is going to work with properly, not something just sitting on the surface drying the life out of your skin, all your natural oils. And I said, I am not doing a mineral line. No way in a million years. I could not get a lab. I finally found one, and guess what? The chemist was a female. That's why she wanted to take the opportunity, because I had my own starting formulas. And that's another thing the labs say, oh, we don't want anybody with their own starting formulas. We don't work that way. And, they would show me what they had, which was all the dried powdered mineral lines and baked powders. And I was like, no, 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 doesn't make the skin look beautiful. So that's how it basically started. And of course, working with Victoria's Secret, I always say they're tested on angels, because I was using it all on the girls, and the photographer and the stylist would say, what is on their skin? And I'd go, it's my product I'm working on. So that's how I got started.
So cool. You are amazing. It was birthed, obviously, from this place of goodness and authenticity. My question is, how did you know to trust yourself? Like, where did this stem from? Who taught you to listen to this inner wisdom?
It's funny. I've always listened to it. Like, my whole soul is about what I'm being told from my heart, my gut. Even the negative aspects of things, I can take that and just Svengali that into something that's going to work for me in some weird way. And people go, how did you know how to do that? I go, I don't know. I just don't know. It just comes to me. Some people go to school to learn to do makeup. I faked it the whole way, because I just had an eye. And I always tell people, don't waste your money going to school, you guys. I mean, I don't mean like education school. I mean like makeup school and artistic school. Go with your intuition. The best people are always the one that just do what's coming out of their soul, what the God essence is putting into your body and coming through your hands or through your eyes visually, because I'm a firm believer that you can't really learn it. You either have it or you don't have it. You know what I mean?
Tell me more. So what's your lineage? Where are your ancestors from?
My mom is German. And my dad is English. His background is all Irish and English. And I remember having the DNA thing, or whatever that's called. I forget. Ancestry. I had that done once. And it was all like Northern European, all of that. And it had 2% Middle Eastern. And I think that is where I get the tan. Because I have this weird thing. I lie in the sun, all of a sudden I'm brown. I look like a native, It's really like I go from the white skin during the winter, and then I'm really brown. And I remember as kids, we went to Hawaii, and we were there for quite a while. And people all thought that I was a little Hawaiian girl, because I had long hair and it was curly, and I put a lei in the side of my hair. So, I think a lot of it comes from that, because my mother said that I look exactly like one of her aunts that was a gypsy. And, that's all my mom said to me. She was a gypsy. So, and she said, I look exactly like her. So I think there's a little bit of something of that, excuse me, something of that in the lineage, but I'm not really sure.
My lineage is also gypsies, and I think there's a big reclamation of that lineage actually coming back right now because my husband and my daughter, we were nomadic. We travel a lot and we live a lot of different places.
Yeah.
And it's almost just looking at what did my ancestors do for the last 100+ years, and then there's so much wisdom in that and spiritual practice. Do you have any specific spiritual practices that you move into daily or weekly?
I jump around a little bit, but I got really, really involved in Hindu meditations. And I still, to this day, prefer them over any of them because of the fact that you're humming and you're saying words. My mind's super active. If I would try to do transcendental meditation, my mind would be like a spitfire in there. I can't. I just can't. I just can't calm my head down. The only thing that works is when I'm humming. So, all the Hindu meditations like Om Gam Ganapati Namaha. And what happens, you balance the left and the right side of the brain. And it actually calms me down. Sometimes my girls will say, you haven't been meditating, have you? And so that means, obviously, I'm being a little weird. I always have to, I go in and I love to go around the beads to that special, what is it, 108 or 109 beads?
108, yeah, for
108,
Japti.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so that always makes me feel amazing, or breathing exercises too. And I started doing actually meditation a long time ago. I started doing it when I was a kid. Like I just saw it somewhere. Obviously, I didn't see it online because we didn't even have that. I don't remember where I picked it up, but I started doing that as a kid, even if it was just something simple as Om. And you can really feel the resonance right in the center of your nose. It just balances everything in the brain. It's just that, left and right side, finding that happy medium.
Absolutely. In yogic philosophy, it's the
I'm going to hit you up with something you're going to like. I also do astrology. So my north node, one of my north nodes is in Gemini. So that says a past life of having been a nomad and a Hindu and all that stuff. So I think a lot of it has come from that if you believe in past lives. And I do. Sorry, but I do. So don't get mad at me, people. But I really believe in that. Just in case someone goes, past lives?
No, you're in good company, especially listeners of this podcast. Absolutely. We talk about reincarnation, and that is it's a very common belief in actually all organized religion, but it's different sects of it. So even like the more spiritual segments of these different religions. But absolutely in Hinduism, it's this idea of reincarnation. Same in Kabbalah, it's this idea that whatever you didn't learn in your past life, you're going to have to go through it and learn it in this life to kind of get to that next level of self. But I love how you talked about humming because in yogic philosophy, it's the Ida and the Pingala, and it's almost balancing these, like the sun and the moon, the yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine. And I always teach an active meditation because just telling people, especially very ambitious, highly imaginative women specifically, we need to open our shoulders. We need to open our hips. We need to ohm and set this moment as different than all others. But exactly. I love it. I love that that's something that resonates with you, and that's one of your practices.
Well, and that's one thing I used to teach the models all the time to do that. And also so deep breathing and everything. But the models loved, a lot of them were doing the Hindu meditations because of me. Because it's just easy and it's just a really nice feeling after. You're just so euphoric after. It's just like, yeah, you're just not on the plane anymore almost, you're just kind of floating.
Ooh. I love it. So a couple of different things. What was the first product you created?
You know what? Everybody thinks it was the luminizer, but it actually wasn't. It was actually the eye polish. And but from the eye polish came the living luminizer, because when I was doing the Victoria's Secret girls, those girls are half naked half the time. And I would put a little bit of jojoba oil on, because jojoba oil is obviously natural and organic. It's a really good oil, closest to human skin, and it has a beautiful yellow tone to it when you get the really expensive ones. And I would put that in the skin, and I noticed that the skin on the body looked amazing, but yet it didn't look good on, like when I looked at the makeup on the face. It's like, what's going on here? And that's why I created the brand. And I started with the eyeshadows because it was the easiest. I wanted to do color. That color hit first for the girls. And then I went into the luminizer because every highlighter or illuminator at the time, that's what they were called, was all like frosted, or it was chalky looking, or if they went into different light, let's say they went under a palm tree, or the sun went behind a cloud, you would see this casty, weird, chalky, overcast, or it just didn't match the body. And so I did the living luminizer from the idea of the eye polishes, where it's a color, but you see right through it to skin, and it had a dewiness to it. And it catches a light. It looks phenomenal. And I created the word living luminizer. And I remember trying to trademark, and they said, you can't trademark that. There's no such word. And I said, why? It's, they said it's a highlighter or illuminator. And I said, well, I don't want to call it living illuminator. It sounds like the Terminator. I said, I want living luminizer. And that's, now everybody has a luminizer.
Yeah. Oh, it's one of my favorite products.
Yeah, so I usually tell people that the luminizer was the first one. That was the first one that really got the attention. So that definitely put me on the map. Vogue wrote it up and everything, and that, it went nuts over it. Because nobody did a glow. Everybody, it was a frost or a highlight, it wasn't a glow, a dewiness, that light reflective, luminosity that made the skin look youthful and succulent and moist. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And that glitter is a paraben, like it's a endocrine disruptor. It's really bad for you. And I feel like you elevated and you created something healthy.
Yeah, there's no parabens. I don't use any of that stuff in the products. And the industry, they're very set in their ways. There's a little bit of tunnel vision happening. And I opened up a lot, but I was also, cut down a lot too in the industry, and treated quite badly actually at sometimes at events, packaging events where I would speak with other brands.
Tell us more.
Oh, they were mean to me.
Because you were disrupting, you were changing the industry. You were the first. You have so many copycats now.
Well, I remember doing actually the first time I ever spoke publicly. It was one of the big makeup shows in New York, and there was, it was supposed to be about independent brands. I was the only independent brand there. All the other ones were the big, huge brands. You guys are multi-billion-dollar companies. What are you doing here? And I remember one of them came up to me and she goes, "Don't talk about chemicals in makeup." And I'm like, "Hello, my name's Rosemary." It's like, that's the first thing she said to me. So I was kind of, it was very interesting to see how the industry actually reacted to somebody that was causing trouble. But again, like I said, bring it on. I don't mind. I can have a pretty, I can defend myself very, very well when it comes to this issue. So, at that time I wasn't so good at it, but I just was quiet. And I just, when the questions were asked to me, I just basically spoke RMS. And it's really funny, the guy that put on the whole thing, he said, "You know what, you're a breath of fresh air." He said, "Everybody's all marketing experts that are sitting there with you on brands that are already billion-dollar brands." He said, "And you came out with your authenticity." He said, "You were amazing." And I said, "Thank you."
That's the medicine. That's what I love to hear. That's what I think all listeners want to hear. What would you say to somebody that has an idea? Maybe it's a product business, maybe it's service, maybe it's like their intuitiveness that they want to share in coaching or mentorship or whatever it is. What is the wisdom that you would share to be that big voice when everybody else is telling you to not talk about the chemicals, don't talk about the thing?
You already said it. Don't listen to everybody. Everybody has their opinion, and nobody's opinion is as good as your own. Go with that intuition. I went with my intuition after labs. Like, these are chemists telling me I can't do my product. There's no way that'll work. And I've proven them wrong. They just have to think out of the box. So if you're thinking out of the box and you're listening to your intuition, stick with it. And if you do want a mentor, find somebody that's on the same wavelength of you. Everybody's going to kind of just regurgitate all the stuff that's already out there. So stick to your guns. And really know what you're talking about. Do your research so you don't say, well, this is what I want to do, but well, why do you want to do that? I don't know. You know what I mean? Make sure you know what you're talking about, why you want to do it, and what is the effect, and how are you going to do it. And go with your own intuitions. And you'll find, like-minded people will gravitate towards each other if you put that energy out. And I was very fortunate to meet somebody, actually I'm going to say his name is Dr. Al-Qaeda. He had a skincare brand, because I originally wanted to do skincare, and I saw what he was doing. Like, he was a physical chemist, a microbiologist. He also was an ethnopharmacologist, which means he had a degree in the healing and medicinal properties of herbs. So I used to record him. I'd follow him around. I would record him all the time. But he actually gave me really good advice. Instead of using, parabens and all that, use a rosemary CO2. And, it was very expensive, but boy, does it ever work,
Wow.
as a preservative. And avoid oils that have a short shelf life, which most of the cheap oils do. You don't want to get oils that have a long shelf life. And, I learned about rancidity. The industry doesn't even know what a ransomat test is anymore. And that is a test that you test for rancidity of an oil. Some oils, like, sesame oil is rancid in 2 months.
Oy.
Olive oil is rancid in 3-4 months. Coconut oil is 2 years. Jojoba oil is 2 years. So you want to make sure that you're getting oils that aren't going rancid. Make sure you put a natural vitamin E in there to help with that, to help protect the oil against rancidity. So these
I
are
love
things
it.
you need to know, whatever it is you're going to do. Make sure that you have somewhat of a background that you can defend yourself when you walk into a lab or in with, some big money guy. Make sure you know what you're talking about so they can go, wow, interesting. This is a good concept.
I love to use your products as part of, and you present it this way as well on your website. It's like an embodiment practice. It's when I put on the Uncover Up, when I put on the Living Luminizer, when I put on, I love the mascara I buy it for everyone.
Well,
It's
thank
as
you.
if I am, of course, it's as if I am embodying the version of myself that I desire to be. It's like, even if I'm meditating, I'll put on some lipstick just to like drop into the divine femme. And I love the names of all of your colors too. How did you choose the it's women's names. It's like very sexy French women
Well,
names.
the women's names actually came up from either an actress, and depending what category of lipstick it is, some of them are the naughty actresses, like May, you know, you know what I mean? And Jane. We can't really use
So
the names, the full names, because we'll get into trouble. But that was the idea behind them. So and then the other ones are there. There's like a lot of them. I can't tell you how I do it because it's so unique how I find these names. So I don't want to say what has inspired me to go digging in a completely different area of what you think. Just like not an ephemeris. That's astrology. Oh my God, a thesaurus. You know what I mean? So it's beyond that stuff. So I don't want to say because then I know people will do it because it's a really good idea. But that's why we got really cool names. And the girl names are usually like Miranda Kerr, because Miranda is one of my best friends, if not my best friend. I love her. So we had to have a lipstick for her.
that's so beautiful, like to have your connection firmly planted in the name of a brand lipstick. There's such a sweetness to that. So astrology is something that you use as a guiding compass.
I've always used astrology. My first products, remember I don't know if you remember back then, but they had the colors on there. They were a color logo, and the colors were all done in numerology and color therapy. And it was
Wow.
over the beauty. If you notice, the beauty sits in the background of that first logo, so it's kind of fading out, where the colors, the RMS, are coming to the forefront. And even when I did my first display unit, it was done in a big grand trine. It was done in a triangle. And the product, the luminizer was at the top, and then the two lip balms, and then the 3 concealers, and then the cheek colors, the lip to cheeks. And so it was sitting perfectly in a triangle, so it got a lot of attention in the stores, but it was all done with numerology and obviously astrology and color therapy.
Beautiful. I had no idea. That's brilliant. I absolutely love it. I know a lot of the astrologers listening will align with that. What is something like when you were in your 20s and 30s and you were sharing this with the world and you were embodying the trailblazing of natural beauty? What is a belief that you held then that you feel has shifted over time? Like what was something that you kind of had to break through to get to your next level?
Well, the breaking through was more difficult from the response of people. It wasn't from the breaking through wasn't a part that I really had to really go inside myself to get through. but it was the people. It was the people turning their nose up at something that is so healthy and yet turning around and eating the worst kind of food imaginable. Because, it started all with food with me. And even with the models, I was known as the organic makeup girl because I would bring, homemade salads that were all organic. I would bring green juices in the morning. So the models would phone me before jobs and go, will you bring me a juice? Will you bring me the one, what was that salad you had the other day? And so I was like cooking for half the girls. Even though there was catering on the set, I was still coming, and even the photographers were asking me to bring stuff sometimes for them. I had one photographer who was really well-known photographer. I could say his name, Alexei Lubomirsky. I used to work with a lot, and he loved avocados. So I'd always bring an extra avocado for him.
That's so
So we had
loving.
a little group, this cult of all us healthy girls. Because everybody was talking about food at that time, your juicing, your salads, but nobody was talking about what you put on your face. And so I had to try and get people like, guys, you're eating all so healthy. You're meditating, you're working out, you're doing everything you need to do, but yet you're putting all these chemicals on your skin. And look at how young you are. Look how good your skin is. Why? Why don't you put on something that's preventative, something that's preventative for long term, something that really is going to look good on your skin, because you don't need all that stuff. I always say, you guys, you got to stop with all this makeup. And I always go, it's like smacking the back of your head and your face falls off onto the pavement. It's too much. And if you want to go heavy, I always say, go heavy on the brows, go heavy on the mascara, lashes, contour even if you want, I don't care. But always the skin has to be beautiful. And if anything, no matter how anti-clean beauty you are, always do your skin has to be clean beauty. And your lips too, because you absorb it all. But so most of it was the big stress was getting through to the magazines where they would actually put me in the magazines. That was a big issue because I'm not buying $1 million pages of advertising. I was a small brand. And then also getting through to people to put something healthier on their skin. And it took a long time. It's still taking time.
You are incredible. I love to hear it. I think what we put into our body, what we feed ourselves, that's so incredibly important. What's a typical day eating for you? Do you follow any specific diet? What do you like to eat?
Oh yeah, no problems at all on that. I get up in the morning. I'm not really a breakfast girl. Even as a kid, I didn't want bacon, I didn't want eggs and all that stuff. It's just not my thing. I would have basically nothing or a piece of fruit. Now I get up in the morning, I sometimes have a celery juice. I go, a little bit on celery and then I go off of it for a while. I like the matcha tea with the mushrooms in it. I have that. But what I really like that I do in the morning is I have this addiction. It's really bad. Like I'm like totally addicted to durian. That Chinese fruit that stinks. I am so addicted. Me and my dog is behind me here, if you're wondering where Ruby is. And she has it too. She loves it too. And it's full of really healthy fat and vitamins and minerals and protein. And it really fills you up. So I will have that in the morning. But there's nothing I want to have for breakfast. Breakfast foods just aren't my thing.
Oh my God, it has such a strong smell.
Oh
That's
my
so
God.
funny.
Yeah, but you know what I do with it is I buy it already out of I used to buy it when the huge shell, that looked like it's some kind of killing instrument. If you threw
Yeah,
it,
like an alien.
like an alien, exactly. But what I do is I buy it already frozen and already the pit taken out of it and all the wrapping. And I put it in a blender with the coconut water and either peaches, depending whatever's in season, or blueberries, or even a little bit of kiwi. Grind it, whip it up in the blender, and I eat that. And it's so good. And it fills me up till I decide to have lunch. Usually lunch is something light, like a salad or something. I go a little heavier at dinner. But I always like to eat early. Oh, you guys, wait till you're older, wait till you're my age. You're going to find that you're going to eat dinner earlier and earlier, because if you eat late, you can't digest it properly, and you just can't sleep. So if I eat really early, like 5:30, this is a great time for me to have dinner, and then I can sleep properly. If I eat late, people want to go out for dinner at like 9:30. I'm like, oh my God, no, I'm too old for that.
Yeah. What about alcohol?
I don't drink. I drank when I was younger, and I always got sick. And I just thought that was just part of the alcohol process. But I noticed when I got into my 30s, I thought, man, I just keep getting sick, and I'd get headaches that were so bad. I would literally want to go to the hospital. and I found out it's from the oak barrels. There's a mold in the oak barrels that they can't get rid of, and a wine connoisseur told me that that's probably what I'm allergic to. I had it tested. They said, "Oh my God, you can't go near," because you don't know if they've mixed wine with something from an oak barrel, or or if it's all a metal barrel. And so I just don't drink at all. And I don't like what it does, and I think it ruins the spirit. Because if you think what it is, it's actually spirit. Alcohol, and it's spirit. It's not. Some people can take it and be in a really good mood. I was in a good mood while I was drinking. Next day, I was miserable. Oh my God, I was so bitchy, in a bad mood and depressed. I thought, what am I doing? Like, this is not my thing. So I haven't drunk in years.
Yeah, we all metabolize it in different ways. I mean, you absolutely glow, so I just want all of your secrets to support myself and, of course, all listeners. What's next? What's next for you? What's next for RMS Beauty?
Well, I guess you guys know I got sold about 3 years ago, and I'm still part owner, so don't worry, because they would not let me go, and it's me and my girls, the same girls pretty well, and we have taken on a chemist actually that we work with very closely in-house, and she's been around, she's very well known, and she's into the same headspace as me with the clean ingredients, and she also has her master's degree in pharmaceuticals, so we're talking. She knows her stuff. And we just keep creating new things. And she'll go to the labs and she'll create with the actual chemists at these big, huge labs. And it's interesting because, a lot of brands nowadays, they just, see what they want. They have a whole bunch of choices and they put their name on it and they come out with it. But we're probably one of the few brands that are actually have an in-house chemist that goes and works with the chemist in the labs and creates new stuff. So we take a little longer coming out with things, but we got some really good stuff coming out.
That's so exciting. Ooh, I can't wait. I can't wait to see. That's so thrilling. I mean, I feel like whenever there's a new product, I'm one of the first people to always buy. But I love it. Yeah. Oh, of course.
Make sure you get something.
Yeah. Thank you. It is such a joy to be present with you and to receive your wisdom. Assuming this episode goes viral, I just feel like everyone's going to want to share this with everyone they love. What is some wisdom you would like to share with listeners?
With listeners, you guys, we have to stop being influenced by stuff that's not important. And we have to really go inside our souls and figure out who we are and trust your gut. I'm telling you, when you slow down all your energy and just do a little humming, as simple as humming, and you'll just start getting this focus. And listen to your gut. Listen to what it's telling you. Because we're influenced by too much stuff that is not really influenceable, if there's such a word as that. But it's just, I think that we need to find ourselves and who we are and embrace it with love and tenderness and nourishment, from our hearts and souls. And
Amen.
yeah.
I'll have some of that. It would be so cool because like when you're humming, you're almost like contouring your face, perfect for blush or something. This would be a fun piece of content for you to share your spiritual practice while
it stimulates the blood flow. Well, this is why I always say when people are putting their makeup on, and I used to have my assistants and they'd be tap, 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 tap. And I go, stop tapping, you're freaking me out. I said, rub it into the skin. You want to get that flow of the blood. You want to stimulate the muscles and get the tone of oxygen and get the oxygen flowing through your face. I said, stop with the baby stuff on the face, It's like your muscles. If you don't do it, they atrophy. Your face is going to atrophy too. And there's a lot of stuff actually online with facial stuff. I have to admit, I'm doing some of them. I'm like, I've been doing some of them. Yeah, it feels good.
Whatever you're doing, it works. And I will start practicing that as well. How can we find you?
Oh,
where?
rmsbeauty.com. And that's, you can get us on there because all my videos are on there. But we also just got into Ulta if you're interested in Ulta. We're in Credo, Blue Mercury. We're in a whole bunch of stores, Macy's, and it keeps growing and growing. So we're really happy about that. And for people overseas, if anybody sees us, we're in a lot of countries overseas too. So don't worry.
You are incredible. Otherwise, I'll buy a big bulk order and I'll come bring it overseas. Rosemary, you're the best. Thank you so much. Thanks for being on the Wise Woman podcast.
Oh, Erin, thank you so much. You're an absolute sweetheart. I enjoyed this a lot. And thanks for the meditation at the beginning. That was so fabulous.
Of course. More to come. Hi, everybody. what did you think? Could you feel that? That Rosemary really, we really aligned. I really adore her. I felt like that was a super fun episode for me. I felt like I kind of knew her work really well, so I didn't need to prepare as much. It was quite intuitive, and I hope you guys could all feel that. I love RMS Beauty. So I have all the lipsticks. I feel like I'm wearing just Alessandra. It's like a nice little lip gloss, mostly because Eden steals my lipsticks, and I don't know, I couldn't find any of my favorite colors, but I think I have every single one. And I try to keep them in the stroller, in my fanny pack, in a purse, in a backpack, so that I can kind of like in my desk, so I could just pull it and put it on quite quickly. But the thing that really got me into RMS Beauty is the Uncover Up. It's the best concealer. You know, I've struggled with acne my whole life. It's the best concealer I have ever used. So if you are looking for a healthy and high quality concealer, please check out the Uncover Up. I wear it every day. It's the most amazing thing. I'm wearing it right now. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're looking at this on YouTube, I'm like in a pretty bright room, but all I have is the Uncover Up and the bronzer, which is called the Living Luminizer. I have the black eyeliner and the mascara, and I put it on about an hour ago, but the Alessandra color lip oil, it's kind of purpley. It blends in nicely. It feels very moisturizing. So I have a link where you're going to get $20 off. Yeah. So when you make a purchase, you will get $20 off. This is just the natural referral program within RMS Beauty. I just had the link, so I want to share it with you. It wasn't something that Rosemary plugged at all. But I always love to share things that uplift my life. I truly do. And I think I said this before, but like I really use it as an embodiment practice before a keynote, before a podcast. Even if I feel like I'm diving into a meditation and I desire to be the divine feminine, and I want the lush lips and the big eyes, and I just want to feel good in my body, I definitely use this makeup as an embodiment practice. So may it serve you. Please start using good stuff, right? So I got into RMS Beauty when one of my college friends, her name's also Erin, we were on a girls trip, and she just found out she was pregnant, and she showed me all of her new makeup, and it was all RMS Beauty, and she was the one that kind of inducted me into this cult of clean beauty, which is good. And RMS, Rosemary would be like such a good cult leader. And I say that with like love, right? I say that in like the highest regard. Just because it's so good for you. It's such a nice mentality to buy into as well. Feel good, everybody. Let me know that you listened to this podcast. Any questions, comments, feelings, DM me on Instagram at Erin Doppelt. We have a ton of promos that we're running as well if you desire to dive deeper into Eastern ritual and Western psychology and take up massive space. Make sure to reach out to me before the new year because we have some kind of behind the scenes one-on-one support launching. Have the best day. Feel good, everybody, and I will talk to you soon. Please give us a 5-star review. Leave a comment. We always appreciate that. It helps get this wisdom to more people. Thank you all so much. Have the best day.